I'm here with Linda Brooks. She's this year's Citation recipient for the class of 1981. She graduated from Avondale with a business secretarial certificate, and she's also completed her nursing before that. Linda, congratulations, and thanks for having a chat to me.
You're welcome. Lovely to be here.
Now, we want to find a little bit more out about you and what you've been up to. So let's start with, where you're currently living and what you're doing.
Well, I'm not doing a lot. I'm in not in lockdown, but I'm acting like I'm in lockdown. So I painted the house and got it ready for sale. Living in South Australia, and I've been here for 7 years, and then going back to Currumbine. So once I've sold the place, I'll be not sure when I'll get a flight, but I'll come back to New South Wales.
And you're running your own publishing company as well, aren't you?
Oh, well, I do. I do the self-publishing package for people who don't want to pay all that extra stuff for all the propaganda stuff that they say they're going to do. Basically the technical putting together of a book, memoir or whatever someone's written.
And we'll get into that a little bit more because I want to talk about your writing in a moment. But let's just jump back to your time at Avondale. So many of us meet wonderful people at Avondale that really have that impact on us and influence us. Who's someone that you can think of that you would want to say thank you to, and why?
Well, first it'd be Rob Cooper, because I was in advanced business English with him, and I'd done matric and I'd done nursing. And so while the others were sort of catching up, because they, secretary students usually leave in year 10, he and I would have discussions about everything. I remember those discussions. And he was really inspiring. And Heather Ferguson was fantastic. She covered so much more about the life skills and all sorts of things. I think we did our nails one day, making us all a little bit more ladylike or something. So, and it was a truly humbling experience. Sally Ann Den sat in front of me, and I think she had 90 words a minute the second week. Took me the whole year to get 50. And then, it was just tedious. It was very humbling.
We've still got our dear Sally Ann at Avondale. Yeah. Yes, she's there. I want to jump into what you've done, because you did secretarial, but you've gone on to do so many more things outside of that, and particularly writing. You've really delved into a lot of writing. And in fact, I think you mentioned you'd written over 30 books. Is that right?
Yes, well, quite a few of them were quickly done, and some of them were university short stories that I wanted to stretch out and make into something. One assignment was The Wall is Blue, and that was about a child who was 10 years of age who was the carer for the family because the mother had a mental illness and wasn't taking medication, and the child trying to cope with the bipolar and the family separation and those sort of things, because I've known a few people in situations similar to that. So a lot of the types of things that I've written about have been to do with things I've come across in nursing. Because nursing, you have an introduction. It's not like a coffee where you take 3 months to get to know someone. You walk through the door and they say, I can't cope with this. And you're right in there. You're just in the middle of their life. So, and I've always really been fascinated with grieving and with trauma and how our minds deal with that and work with that. So, I know, like, the first book evolved because I was having trouble getting things done in the education system, and I tried to find a book that covered it, and I couldn't, so I thought, well, I'll have to write it. And I didn't set out to write it straight away. I'd actually done a few sort of chapters, because I've always written the things that are deep and meaningful to me, my baby's death, that sort of thing. It usually comes out in verse, so it feels like my mother tongue, to go into verse when talking about that. So I jumped into that, and I really felt that parents were quite left out of the education process in some way, and sort of treated as if they were children too. Children sort of trying to express their anxiety or their need for something weren't listened to. Mum comes in and, you know, that's not working either, because it's just this straight thing. And then all of a sudden at 18, you're supposed to have, you know, go up, pick your child up from the door of the school, and they're an adult. They can drive a car, they know all about sex, drugs and alcohol, and can read and write. I mean, they can just do anything. They're good citizens. And I mean, I think that's a huge burden for teachers. But I also think that there should be a shift in listening to parents, because they said to me when I was in there, they said, have you got a specialist? Have you got, you know, and I said, yes, I do. I have a specialist. Lots of letters after the name, Mother. That's the expert for my child, you know. And I was going to write on the front of the book, by the only real expert in anything, somebody's mother.
So what's one of your favourite, or one of the books you've written that you're most proud of?
Well, probably I'm Not Broken, I'm Just Different, because that was a lot of research. I read every book on the subject, and I really wanted to write about an outward journey, because a lot of situations where this is what I went through can be very introspective, very narrow, very insular, and I wanted to write outwards, so that I'm writing for you, because I knew there was a whole queue of people before me and after me that probably didn't have the sass to sit outside the principal's office and read War and Peace, to let them know that I was quite prepared to wait all day if I had to, which really hurried them up a lot more than if I told them to hurry up.
Now, I've read, or I've heard from you that one of your most significant achievements in life is actually taking on the New South Wales Department of Education to create some change for students and parents. And you sort of alluded earlier to sort of having a little bit of, you know, frustration with the system. What is the issue that you actually sort of addressed, and what change came from it?
Well, I made a list of suggestions, but I just felt that, for one thing, they needed to have a parent library. The counsellors needed to, because you would walk in and they'd come across with a bit of blah and you seem very stressed, and you think, well, yes, I kind of am, you know. And I thought they should have a parent library on every type of situation of what they were dealing with children, you know, that so that no parent came into a school and walked away with nothing. Because there were so many things that they didn't know a lot about, you know, and you don't mind if they've come up with a brilliant diagnosis, but they haven't actually got to working out all the bits and pieces yet, as long as they're honest about it. And Greg Piper, who's the member for up there.
Yes, up our, yep.
Great bloke, yeah, because I mean, I went to Human Rights and Equal Opportunities, which I was really stunned about, because I didn't think that would be where you go when you had problems with the school. And I'd actually written stories about situations, and I sent them the actual stories because I couldn't be bothered taking all the emotion out and making them essays. So I just sent the stories, and they asked me if they could use it for training purposes, and I was really thrilled. I thought, yeah, off you go, that's really good. You know, because it was in the early days of understanding a lot of ADD, ADHD and the links and the, you know, that sort of thing.
What year was this?
2004 and 2005 was when I was leaping around on it. And people said to me, what is your aim? You know, you're not going to win. And I said, that depends on your definition of winning. And they said, well, what's yours? And I said that they don't forget me. Because if winning means that the whole system turns upside down, well, that'd be silly, you know. I wanted them to think, well, let's be ready if someone else like her comes through. You know, I wanted them to think, we need to have more for parents. I had people read and come back to me, and I think only one person said, I think you might have had a bit of fun, Linda.
Now, what we haven't touched on is your creativity, because you get very involved in painting and other things, don't you? Do you illustrate your own books?
Well, I do, but I have to sort of do them as photographs. I can't do the animation type things. So it's sitting in front of the news and just tedious hours of, you know, feathers and fur and all that sort of stuff to do it. And I really didn't like art that much, but it was the same thing that I couldn't find anybody else to do it. So I had to do it myself. And my dad was very much like that. Mum used to say, if you put Linda in a room by herself, she'll make something. You put my brother in a room by, you know, with 100 things, he'll say he's bored before he's, you know, been there 5 minutes, you know. So,
yes.
You know.
I'm noticing the theme that you're very much a doer. And look, for those watching, there is so much more to Linda's story. So I encourage you to head to our Avondale Alumni Facebook page or to our website to read her citation. Linda, you've shared so much of your personal journey through word and through your creativity, your dedication to researching and just being a lifelong learner. And your advocacy for change is why you're being honoured this weekend at Homecoming.